Thanks for having me here and thanks for coming to the presentation. Today, we're going to be talking about Healthcare 2.0 and the next phase and evolution. We're going to talk about leveraging social media, LinkedIn, and new advances in artificial intelligence to hopefully empower you guys and revolutionize the healthcare system. So, quick disclaimer, everything is here is just for informational purposes only. It's not financial advice. And these are my own views and opinions. And a lot of the tools that we'll be talking about today are going to be, they're constantly changing and rapidly evolving. So use cases that I explain today may, in a year later, be a lot different. So this talk is going to encompass three different parts. The first part is going to be talking about, we're going to understand the paradigm shift of the current information age compared to the industrial age, as well as the impact that the healthcare system is currently facing and the current challenges that we as physicians as a cohort are experiencing. The second part is going to be talking about how do we use technology to solve these problems, better financial freedom, financial independence, better lifestyles, so that we can go out there and help our patients and be more productive and more happy. And it will really focus on social media as a technology, but it's also going to be really focused on LinkedIn because that's the number one platform that everyone should be on to connect and network. And lastly, I'm going to talk about new advances in artificial intelligence, video streaming, live streaming to hopefully scale and market your brand, your business, your career to create a future-proof your career. So this talk is going to be all about all of us in here. We're interested in leveraging the most cutting edge digital tools and innovative business models to stay ahead in a increasingly competitive, rapidly dynamic, changing, volatile landscape. And so we're going to talk about actionable insights, strategies, how to future-proof your career, embracing entrepreneurship. We'll talk about digital health solutions, as well as artificial intelligence. So a little bit about me. I know see a few familiar faces, and just a little bit about me. I'm a physician by training based out of Houston, Texas. I went to Baylor for medical school, did the traditional route, orthopedic surgery. And at an early age, I started to see the healthcare system start to fall apart. So I started to really delve myself into multiple streams of income, learning about financial freedom, financial independence, investing in stocks early. And I was able to get financially independent at 29 years old and eventually retire early at 38 years old back in 2016 as a result of making strategic real estate investments after the 2008 financial crisis. I then transitioned into founding Financial Freedom for Physicians, which is a brand dedicated to empowering healthcare professionals to future-proof their careers by embracing business entrepreneurship, learning about financial independence, financial literacy. So I started out coaching with physicians, how to transition through careers, how to start businesses, did a lot of healthcare IT consulting, eventually wrote 4 books, keynotes. And interestingly, after 2020 COVID, the brand has actually exploded from a personal business brand into a media brand, attracting sponsorships, advertising revenue. So you can find us all on social media. We're on LinkedIn, predominantly Instagram, Twitter. The fastest growing segment of the media brand has been the podcast. So has been the podcast and the YouTube channel have been the most rapidly growing segment. A lot of people are now downloading, listening, and tuning in. If you want to connect with me, go to my website down here, and all of the contact information will be at the end, and you can contact me and we'll get you plugged into the ecosystem. I've written 4 books. You can check those out, and have spoken for some of the most well-known physician brands, including White Coat Investor, Passive Income MD, written for a number of the top tier publications, Kevin MD, Doximity, MedPage Day. And now I'm branching out and speaking more about social media, artificial intelligence, technology. This area has been of extreme fascination to me because I missed out on the earlier parts of social media. And I realized how powerful social media, as well as combined with artificial intelligence, will help you in scaling your business, your brand, your company, and your impact. Yeah. So I started earlier on. We'll talk about we'll get into the meat of the talk now. Enough about me. And so I'm going to shift to understanding and navigating the shifts. I mentioned I saw the healthcare crisis coming in 2002. I didn't realize it would come in the form of a pandemic. And COVID really highlighted the importance of really recognizing changing paradigms and being able to adapt and shift rapidly. And just as the next wave of shifts, what came from COVID, I believe the next phase of shifts and disruption will come from artificial intelligence. So it's really important to understand this technology, how to use it. There's so many different use cases and how to really capitalize on this trend. Quick background. I mentioned information age has transitioned from a really stable, predictable 9 to 5 workforce economy into a very highly unpredictable, unstable, highly complex, highly dynamic, volatile economy. And right now we have to really prioritize financial freedom, financial independence, a location, time independence, as opposed to just the traditional 9 to 5, trade your time for money, because that won't scale in the next 10 years. And come March 2020, I got onto social media, started writing articles for some of the leading publications, Kevin MD, highlighting the current challenges, the current issues that physicians were experiencing: burnout, poor accessibility, affordability, poor access to quality of care, and how we could look at concierge medicine as an alternative or as a potential solution for healthcare seeking to offer top tier care while at the same time preserving them and their financial liability, their livelihoods. So it's really interesting. I'll get a little bit on my soapbox. It's really disheartening that we live in the most advanced, technologically strong country in the world, and our healthcare is in the state of system that it is. I've traveled around the world, lived across different countries, and other countries can do healthcare more efficiently, more cost effectively, with better outcomes. So we should be able to strive for that standard. Which brings us, so that was the first part. Second part is, now that we understand this current state of affairs and how it's impacting healthcare and workers, we're going to look at how do we use technology to solve the problems that we're currently experiencing. So 2 years ago, I spoke about the importance of building a robust brand using social media here in this exact same room. And the reason why social media can be such a powerful tool is because you're leveraging attention as currency to develop a form of social capital. It can create a brand following, engagement, community following. And so therefore that separates you independent of an insurance company or somebody paying you, because you're able to create a strong brand that your community and following can then pay you for your books, your services, your consulting, your coaching, etc. And so with social media, you can achieve massive scale, instant reach many times for free with a single device you can put in your pocket. Extremely powerful. And it's independent of centralized third parties. So what we have is the ability to create independent media brands, showcasing our own thoughts and ideas and expressions without the gatekeepers, to the traditional gatekeepers. Moving forwards, we talked about the power of social media. LinkedIn is the number one platform for all of us because it's the highest concentration of professionals, millionaire CEOs, high net worth individuals, business leaders, entrepreneurship, all on a single platform, 24/7 hours of the day. So it's easy to connect, communicate, collaborate, get leads, business opportunities, and so on. So it's really important. 61 million job searches. A lot of marketers use LinkedIn, and it's really one of the most effective channels for driving high quality business leads. So that's social media in a nutshell. And you can contact me because I have the recordings, and which brings us to the next crucial part of our discussion, the meat of the discussion, and that's AI and other video media technologies and advancements. And that's why we're here today. Brief background: mid-20s, 2000s, because of the innovations in mobile, cloud, and social media, consumption has evolved from static text such as blogs and newsletters into real-time live interaction media, including short, long-form content, video, podcasts. Now we have audio and video podcasts, as well as live streaming. And when we combine it with generative AI and social media, we can scale our brand message and create a whole new level of engagement that we're just starting to see the tip of the iceberg. Interestingly, AI, we've seen that it can automate and reduce the amount of repetitive routine tasks, eliminating the need for a lot of traditional jobs. But what is more concerning is that 70 is the ability of AI getting so good that it can replace the skill sets of higher level order thinking, such as CEOs, business leaders, managers. So if you look at this startling statistic, 78% of executives believe that AI will get so good that their jobs will be replaced. I was having lunch with one of my colleagues the other day, and he's an entrepreneur, and he was talking about sometimes employees don't show up to work or the recent labor strikes. And so he was thinking about how he could use AI, software, robotics in the future to create systems and dependable, efficient, cost-effective workforce. And with the right investments in infrastructure, a lot of these upfront costs can be depreciated over time. So it's going to actually be a investment. And what's going to happen to the traditional jobs, the cashier, the server, et cetera. But it's really important to remember that AI itself is only a tool, and how we choose to use it is going to determine its impact. So another example in my business, 2 years ago, before ChatGPT went mainstream, I was paying around on the order of tens of thousands of dollars on editing, assistance, back and forth, et cetera. The last 2 years with AI, I'm paying less than $3,000 a year in these AI tools with a 4 to 5 times output and a greater than 70% reduction. So that's the highlight of where AI and this technology is going. And we need to constantly evolve, adapt, stay ahead of the curve as it becomes more pervasive. Extrapolating that example, if you think about the impact of AI on just my single company, think about on different businesses and industries, and particularly healthcare. Healthcare is one of those kind of legacy industries that's ripe for disruption. A lot of businesses and companies are going to really struggle in the next 5 to 10 years if they don't understand and get a handle on this technology. Just briefly, just look at the date, January 2023, already OpenAI's ChatGPT was able to pass medical licensing exams and the MBA exam. So that was over a year ago. So what's going to happen to radiology, pathology, professions that rely on diagnostic, non-technical skills? What's going to happen to lawyers and all of these different jobs? It's really concerning. That's how fast this technology is progressing. That's AI in a nutshell, but let's look at what really powers these technologies, because we're going to get into the actual tools that I'm actually using in my company to actually build and scale and grow a successful and thriving media company. So at the core of all of these AI are the large language models. And I like to think of large language models as they are powering the next generation. It's based on, if you think about the Safari or the Chrome or the all these different browsers, these large language models are very akin to that. For example, a lot of companies, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all developing their own large language models to try and compete with each other. So we're going to see right now, OpenAI is the one that's predominantly being used, but 5, 10 years, we'll see what happens. And you can basically generate dynamic text from inputs. Can be either text, it can be through picture or video, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. So a lot of parts of this talk, I used ChatGPT to give me creative direction, some of the titles, the headlines. A lot of the images that you see here were created with DALL-E and Midjourney, which are basically, you can take a text input and it can generate stunning visuals. And it's almost eliminated the need for a professional editor in my business. And what's really interesting is it doesn't even stop there with pictures. Now with video generation, it's still very early. But with Sora 11 Labs, you can actually create highly stunning videos through text inputs. Right now, the technology is still very early, but give it a year or later, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be using Sora and these different software to create videos, AI generated videos that are almost hard to distinguish between what's real and what's not. So moving into applications, we're really standing at a precipice. And what I'm describing here is just the tip of the iceberg. And look at some of the applications. For example, healthcare. Think about the clinical decision support. Think about all the physicians entering in data into the EHRs 24/7. What are we going to do with that data? There's going to be, what's going to happen to medical imaging, pathology, diagnosis when the AI gets so good that it can outread a radiologist or a pathologist? All these are really existential questions. We talked about We talked about social media, content generation, but look at all these seemingly disparate industries: customer support, education, finance, all of these. And what's really interesting is autonomous systems. So think about autonomous systems as software with robots and how that will impact military, defense, fire, police. So you don't have to put human lives at risk anymore. What's going to happen with autonomous driving, self-driving vehicles when there's Waymo or autonomous Teslas deployed in every single city? What's going to happen to the bus drivers? Our kids need driver's license, or will we need to even own a car anymore? These are questions. What's going to happen to the Uber Lyft drivers that depend on the ride shares for their income? And these are just industries mentioned here. And and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Look at some of the successful AI use cases at some of the top institutions: Mayo, Sinai, Hopkins, Stanford, all of these. And you can see in cardiology, remote patient monitoring, radiology, all of these different things. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Think about when these companies such as Google, Meta, Amazon actually get a foothold into these technologies and actually disrupt the entire healthcare system. It's going to unlock a lot of use cases and a lot of applications. To summarize, we're about midway. We've talked about advancements, applications, AI. Let's look at the actual tools. So we're going to look at AI with different capabilities. We're going to look at ChatGPT, Otter AI, and Descript, and as well as live streaming. These are actually tools that I use to actually create and build and scale a thriving business. So first thing is ChatGPT. That's going to be the workhorse. That's going to be like, if any of you are not on it, check it out. There's a free version. There's also a paid version, and it's based on a advanced large language model. So it's going to be your workhorse. And what's interesting is that it has contextual understanding. So any text or input, it can remember, it can generate outputs and inputs. It can fine tune across medicine, law, accounting, different industries and professions. And really with multilingual support, it can actually translate across different languages seamlessly. So it actually decreases the language barrier. And you'll see that some of the software that I'm describing, there's other software platforms that are integrating ChatGPT into their platform. So it's really becoming ubiquitous and you'll see its impact much more greater in the next few years. I use ChatGPT a lot. So I use ChatGPT a lot in content creation. It can, like I said, it can act as a personal assistant. It can act as a creative writing assistant. A lot of things I don't understand, I can go and ask it questions, and it can actually give me really great detailed questions that answer my queries. It can also, like I said, function in this area. And what's interesting is a lot of for example, my niece and nephew are using ChatGPT to create apps, as well as a lot of the younger generation are using ChatGPT to spin up websites, start businesses, really create companies much faster, much quicker. So the barriers to adoption are decreased. Another example is living abroad this summer and not understanding, for example, Spanish or different languages. You can actually take snapshots and upload it to ChatGPT, and it can explain and translate it for you. So it's really a versatile app. The other example is, so I went on the ChatGPT and I was like, okay, create a slide about this question to make it more engaging for the audience. And it actually came up with all of these different options, which I actually used in my titles and my headlines. So you can see how powerful this is if you give it the right prompts in the right context. So the next tool is Otter AI. And this is really good if you're using business meetings, if you're lectures, Zoom meetings. I use it quite a bit. And it's really good for real-time transcription. So basically it can record a conversation in real time where you can actually upload it. So for when I record a podcast, I can upload it to Otter AI and it can give me the transcript. What's really key about the transcript that I have learned is that the transcript is actually a physical copy of the conversation, which you can then upload to ChatGPT, and it can give you the keywords or phrases you use in your blog, your YouTube description, your podcast description, which then makes it more highly searchable for search engine optimization, which one of the talks to.
Another word we can ChatGPT. We're going to try that the happy one.
Are you on the free version? You're on the paid version. Okay.
mom and friends that come or would be check.
Yeah. Talk with me afterwards because I had that same problem, but I was using the free versions, but I original. So yeah, that's 4 upload at 4 minutes. After that, upload become free. Yeah, before it would, yeah. It'll be good to talk with because actually I know because we're pressed for time, but I'm giving a similar talk on Saturday, and I'll see you guys in this conference. So I'm happy to answer questions. I can show you how I use things and network and collaborate. So moving on, the other AI tool that I use is Descript, and this has been it's really been awesome because basically Descript is a cloud-based AI video audio editor. So I mentioned I was paying tens of thousands of dollars for an editor 2 years ago. With Descript, I can pay $10 a month and it can do the same thing, even better than a professional editor. It can take the transcript as well. It can create a YouTube description, headlines. It can optimize for search SEO. The really beautiful thing about it is that it can remove fillers and ahs and ums and awkward pauses. So when you actually listen to my podcast, it's actually quite good. It can, I was surprised myself. Yeah. So it's really good for podcasting and video production for you that are doing educational content, business presentations, marketing, and this generative AI is going to be really interesting because I was also playing around with it and it can actually clone my voice. So it cloned the voice of myself and I can say this. So it gave a 3 to 5 minute presentation and all I had to do was upload a JPEG of my image and it gave a 3 to 5 minute presentation. Really powerful once this but yeah, we'll talk about StreamYard. And so StreamYard is actually a way to actually amplify and scale your reach. And I like to think of StreamYard as a live virtual TV, radio broadcasting stations. And what's really beautiful about it is that you can stream it across 5 different platforms. So every day, Mike was talking about how he sees me on LinkedIn. What I can do is upload pre-recorded podcasts that have been edited and spruced up by the AI, and it's scaled my reach dramatically. I can do it across Facebook, my Facebook business page, my Facebook community, YouTube, Twitter, all of these platforms. So it can enhance your message. It's really, you can check it out, a lot of interactive features, and they're even getting better and better every year, adding more software updates, upgrades, etc. Again, the other thing is I noticed that a lot of the audience here, they have their practices. What I recommend is to outsource all of this to a team, like a social media team or somebody that can handle all this, because this is a full-time thing. But if you can have a team that does it well, and while you scale and build your practice, it can be extremely powerful. But have a team to do this, not do it yourself. So putting it all together, we talked about evolving work paradigms. We talked about the challenges of the healthcare system. We talked about the digital tools that are building and scaling all these different practices, particularly LinkedIn, when you combine it with AI-powered engagement, content creation, live streaming. And again, the benefits for all of us is you get enhanced engagement, better marketing and visibility, improved profits, more efficient, and overall better lifestyle, which is why we're here today. So I love this quote, and it's the words of John Chambers. If you don't innovate fast, if you don't disrupt your industry, if you don't disrupt yourself, you'll be left behind. So we all know that the examples of Blockbuster, Kmart, we saw what Amazon did to retail. So we've all seen examples of this. So it's really up to us to embrace this, to learn about it, to learn how to use it, and to adapt and evolve with the shift and the changes so we don't get caught like we did in 2020. And we can use these tools to better engage and serve our patients, help our community. And with that, I thank you for your time and attention. You can get in touch with me. Get in touch with me at this email address and my website, and I'll get you plugged into the system. We've got a podcast, YouTube channel, all of our social media, and I'm happy to take any questions.